best teacher I ever had was Miss Green. Oddly enough, we had the same last name, right? Her name was Miss Green, but she wasn't my favorite teacher because we shared the last name. She was my favorite teacher because she was just fun and funny, and she made learning fun, and it was always engaging and always interesting, and she always had my attention. And I think that that's just such a good quality to have, to make sure that you're a fun teacher and you're making learning fun and engaging, right, for your students. What better way to ensure that your students are learning concepts? So I always remembered her from that. I just remember the class being fun, and I remember learning in that class. Her name was Miss Green, and I actually kept in contact with her throughout the years. I eventually was like old enough to babysit, and even when I um, reached a certain age, I started babysitting her kids. So we remained friends throughout the years. But definitely, I would have to say Miss Green, because she was an amazing teacher, and she was my fourth grade teacher. I would have to say a time I felt happy and confident outside of the classroom would have to be when I finished schooling. I remember like always having a love and passion for children and knowing I wanted to go into education. And I already always knew I wanted to get my bachelor's, but when I had the opportunity to get my master's, um, I took advantage of it and absolutely loved it. And I just remember having to go through schooling and get my master's in a very difficult time and season in my life. And I remember completing that and having that accomplishment and just feeling like, wow, a sense of accomplishment. Like I did it. I conquered something that was challenging during that time in my life. Um, and so, yeah, I'd have to say I was happy and confident and proud of myself for completing that and truly pursuing something that I loved so much and had a true passion for. The toughest student I had was when I was teaching first grade. I remember she was a runner, and I remember she had a hard time expressing her feelings and how she felt. And I remember having to reach out to like the admin team and just her parents just to make sure we were on the same page. I remember it was so difficult teaching and trying to manage a child's behavior in the midst of it all. But I that was when I truly learned and understand the importance of patience, how important it was to truly get to understand and know a child, build a healthy rapport with them, and just make sure you have a better understanding of them as a whole. There's so many things that are happening sometimes in your child's home, in their home, that you're unaware of, that they're dealing with. So I think just being in communication, working hand in hand with the parents, and with the child and with the admin team was truly helpful, not only for the student, but for me too, because I knew how to move forward in the future and deal with certain students with, different behavior challenges as well. Funniest moment. Okay. I think the funniest moment, teaching moment for me, was when a lizard came into the classroom. And anyone that knows me knows I don't like little critters. And so a lizard came into the class where I remember having to nominate someone to come and free the lizard. So I was like, okay, who wants to help Miss Green out? Who's not afraid of lizards? And of course, everybody wants to be the savior. They're like, I'll get it, I'll get it. And I picked a friend to come and get the lizard that like ran underneath my desk. And they got the lizard and they freed the lizard. But that was probably the funniest moment because they were looking at me like, Miss Green, you're supposed to be the teacher and you're like standing up on your chair afraid of this small little lizard. But yeah, that had to be the funniest moment. I definitely had doubts. I remember it was my first year teaching, And I was like, wow, this is a lot. Like, I'm good with kids. This is my gifting. I went to school for this, but there's no level of schooling that prepares you for the actual classroom. So I remember just classroom management, scheduling meetings, parent teacher conferences. I remember grading and inputting grades and just having to finish everything and follow a daily schedule. It was just a lot. It was overwhelming, and I definitely was not prepared for it. So I was like, is this something I can do? But eventually got the hang of it. I had wonderful mentors that helped me, and just being consistent and patient during that time. It was something that I ended up growing to really love and was no longer fearful of what teaching would entail and what it looks like, but definitely was not prepared for it and had some second thoughts like, can I do this? Is this really for me? I remember this moment like it was yesterday. I remember having a parent come up to me, and it was like toward the end of the school year. And she's like, before my son started kindergarten, um, she's like, I was praying for the right teacher, for an excellent teacher that was nurturing, that was kind, sweet, that would really be able to guide and help him, that would be patient. And she's just stating like all of these wonderful qualities. And she's like, you possess like all of these qualities that I prayed for. So she's like, God answered my prayers. And she was just so grateful. And so, of course, who is not going to get teary eyed after hearing something that's just so precious from a parent? So I will never forget that moment. I have to say that that brought me to tears, her comment, and just her heart and her appreciation for me as a teacher and how I impacted her son's life. Okay, anyone that knows me knows that I have a love and appreciation for TV, watching TV, and watching movies. Absolutely love it. So, right now, what I'm binge watching is The Best Man TV series. It was originally a movie and they came out with the first and second part. And now they have created a TV series. So, The Best Man was the last TV show that I binge watched on Peacock, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far. I'm not finished yet, but I'm in the process and I like it. Wow. My least favorite thing about PD as a teacher. Professional development. I'd have to say sometimes I just feel like it's just lecturing, and a lot of talking, but not enough of hands-on activities, or engaging activities. And I feel like professional development should be all about that. That there should be some, you know, all the types of teaching there, right? There should be auditory, kinesthetic, like it should be all encompassing when it comes to um, just teaching. I mean, we're not that far off from children, right? And you can't just pick one way to teach, because every student is different and learns, um, different ways. So I would have to say it's probably like a lot of like the lecturing and not so much of like hands-on engaging things, or activities that would really grasp, the teacher's attention. Um, so that would be my least favorite. Okay, don't judge me, but I really enjoy dining. I'm a foodie and I just love the experience. I love trying new restaurants, exploring new foods. I love um, the different cultures and the different flavors. And for me, it's not only the taste, but it's actually like the experience and the presentation of the food. And it's just something that I really am passionate about. And And I'd have to say it's my hobby. I absolutely love it. So I would have to say dining, and just exploring like new restaurants, new foods, and all that. I absolutely love it. What do I talk about too much at parties? I would have to say probably food and drinks. Yeah. What better place than a party to talk about that, right? You usually have food and drinks there. And me being the foodie that I am, of course, I'm going to want to talk about that and explore that, right? So that's probably something I talk about. Yeah. Interesting question. Okay, well, there is strength in numbers, no matter the size. So I'm going to go with the horse sized duck. I mean, I thought about this, and a horse is a good size, but a duck has no arms, it has no teeth, and it waddles. So like what harm can it really do, right? If I have one, I figure I can tackle it, right? However, it has wings and it can fly. That's a disadvantage for me because I can't do those things. Um, but I may just have to choose to be David and face my Goliath at this point. Wow, I think I have like several proud moments as a teacher, but well, one of them is, being able to teach my students how to read. They're coming into kindergarten. Some of them are able to recognize letters, some of them aren't. Some of them are unfamiliar with like letter sounds. So the fact that they were able to come into kindergarten, not even most of them not even knowing like their letter names or letter sounds, but now being able to sound out words and learn sight words and actually read books, to me, it's rewarding. But I also have to say, just teaching them like life skills as far as like problem solving and making good choices when they're able to show me how they solve problems and are able to make the choices that they made and how they're able to apply it, to not only like their regular life, but then also academics. It's really rewarding and I feel proud. Just little things like, oh, Miss Green, I didn't know how to do this problem or answer this question, but I remember you said, process of elimination. So I first eliminated all of the choices that I knew were not, the correct one. And then I was able to find it, or I had this problem at home, but I remember you said, to problem solve. And so I thought of ways how I can fix it and I fix it. So just little things like that are just rewarding how they're able to take things. I'll never forget that I was teaching math. And we went through this problem. We were working on this math problem as a whole group. And, we're working together to get it. And I'm working with them, and we check our answer, and the answer is wrong, right? Talk about humility, right? Like, the teacher got the answer wrong, and the teacher and the students were like, Miss Green, the answer is wrong. What happened? And I just explained to them, nobody's perfect. Even Miss Green, teachers make mistakes sometimes. I'm so sorry that I was helping you with this math problem and I made a mistake. And because we missed a very important step, we came up with the wrong answer. So now that we know what we need to do next time, let's walk through this and go through this process again so we can get the correct answer. But talk about an embarrassing moment like, what? You're the teacher? You helped us with this problem and you got the answer wrong.